today with my subject being acquiring supreme power through mind, body, and soul alignment. First of all, we want to talk about supreme. Supreme is defined as the highest, the most excellent, superior, the greatest in importance. And when we leave here today, you will have tapped into an aspect of yourself that you may have not known, or you may have just allowed to be dormant because you have not nurtured that aspect of yourself. Power, supreme power. Power is defined as having authority, influence, strength, might, the right or the means to command or control. Whenever we hear the aspects of a human, it is usually mind, body, spirit. And I don't think it's an accident that it is mind, body, and then spirit. From my perspective, I would love for it to be spirit first and foremost, because that is the essence and the most potent aspect of the human. When we begin to define the soul, it is difficult to find a definitive definition because of so many different traditions and cultural practices and ancient texts and information that has been gleaned down from the divine through man. So we have to pretty much have a general understanding of what the soul is. And once we have an understanding of what the soul is, we can tap into the powers of the soul. The soul itself, I should say the souls of mankind, it is the immaterial essence of the human. And it is the most important aspect of mankind. And we have neglected it because we have not been taught or programmed that the soul is the most mightiest and most powerful aspect of who we are. But today we are going to come into the understanding that our souls are the most important and the most potent aspect of who we are. The soul lives forever. It never dies. And this is what the over 4,000 religions on this planet indicate. 4,000 religions indicate that the soul is the most important aspect of man. Even during ancient times and hieroglyphics and other writings that were left for mankind, the soul has been the most important aspect. It has been depicted as being very potent and very powerful. The soul is so powerful that the soul can travel into different realms or different dimensions. And it can travel at will or through human effort. And if the soul has the ability to move from place to place, then we ourselves have the ability to tap into the energies wherever the soul moves to. There are those who astral travel often. I've astral traveled, and I am sure there are certain people in here that I know have astral traveled. Now, the scientific community says that we separate at that moment. Our bioplasmic body separates and goes into different places, and it travels. There is a history of the soul traveling through ancient texts. And because we may not have traveled does not mean you cannot. You can only do and create an action as to what you are aware of. And if you have not been taught that you have these innate abilities, how can you utilize them? They lay dormant for lack of use. But we can wake those abilities up today, because today my intention is to communicate with the souls of the individuals that are here. That's my intention. There is a language that you would need to understand if you went to France. It's called French. If you go to Germany, you have to understand German, that language, in order to communicate effectively. There's a language for everything. There's a language that is considered verbal, and there's a nonverbal. There's also a language of the soul, but we've not been taught that. Souls can communicate to other souls. Today, it is my intention to communicate with the souls that are here present. And when we communicate with the souls that are here present, and you begin to identify yourself today as a soul, then your soul is going to rise up in you, and you're going to feel information flowing. It's going to touch you on a level you may never have been touched before. The soul has been researched by scientists, the medical society, and also the physicists. Now, they have decided through research that the exact moment that the soul leaves the body to make its transition, that the body loses weight immediately. This is scientific research and proof that there is such a thing as the soul. If a spirit, which is the expression of the soul, the spirit expresses the soul. If the spirit never dies, as it has been claimed for eons of time, our question should be, where does the soul continue to live? Where? These questions are generally not put in the forefront of our minds because we've been programmed that we're not very much. But if the soul lives forever, I'd like to know, where does it abide and how? And what are its capabilities if it is living forever? We know that the soul is not stagnated. It has life force. This is how some people who are highly spiritually attuned can hear from those who have passed over. There are many people, mediums and spiritual intuitives, who can tap into the energies of those who have passed over. They can tap into their loved ones, communications. There's got to be a line of energy flowing from that soul to that person. That is soul to soul communications. Oftentimes people can feel the energy of the one that has passed over. They feel it. But the soul has communicated with that soul, and the soul is pouring that energy through the physical body so that you felt. And that was your way of knowing that you have made contact, or someone on the other side or in a higher dimension has contacted you. And you'll feel it, and you'll know that was so-and-so, and I felt them. The soul always lives. All of those who have gone on are still alive. There are many who tap into and have tapped into souls that have passed on that were known to be genius. They were known to be the best and the highest. Individuals like Beethoven and some of these other individuals who are philosophers, authors, and writers who were great, they all have attested to the fact that they heard a voice. Beethoven said he would hear the music when he walked by the shores, and he would go home and play it. And then other humans would say, oh, he's a genius. But he didn't have it innately in him. He tapped into that. There's a great physicist, Nikola Tesla. He says, I am a receiver of information. We're going to talk today about how we all can be receivers, because it is natural for us, but we've not been taught. Because if we do not know all of the possibilities that are innate in us, we're easy to be controlled. Since the soul is man or female or woman, the spirit is an aspect or a component of the soul. And this spirit is what expresses through us. Spirit is all-knowing. It knows the past, the present, and the future. All-knowing. There is a time that we call eternal time. When we delve into eternal time and place our consciousness into eternal time, then we can see our past, the present, and also the future. But we've been bombarded with linear time, and that is how we have been thinking. This is how we live. But if we have the time to slow down and think about eternal time, which was God's time, then we have tapped into an energy field that will help propel us into our spiritual growth. Eternal time. Often I sit in the quiet and I put my consciousness into eternal time to step away from linear time. And especially those who meditate, they always step into eternal time. And this is where they get much of the information that they need and decisions that need to be made in their lives by going within. So since spirit is all-knowing and knows the past, the present, and the future, then we can go there, but we can go there in our minds. I'm going to talk about the mind and the powers that is in the mind and what the mind really is. I love it when Jesus said, I am here and I am there. And I pondered that statement from a kid until a teenager, and I wondered and wondered and wondered. I always wanted to know, what did Jesus mean when he says, I am here and there? And I would talk to the elders, and I would always say, how can Jesus be here and there? And no one could ever answer my question. And when I was in my, I think, mid-20s, it just came to me. When Jesus said that I am here and I'm there, wherever his consciousness was, he is there. This is how people can do distant healings. If I think I am in New York, then I am in New York. If I think that I am on the West Coast, I am on the West Coast. Wherever I put my consciousness, there's an aspect of me that is there. That's similar to astral projection, but it is not quite astral projection. But if you put your consciousness there, you can access or deliver whatever you need to deliver there. It's similar to astral projection. I also have always pondered that even after I got the answer. And here recently, I received another answer regarding this statement that Jesus made, that I am here and I am there. When Jesus said that the Father and I are one, he did not mean that the Father was right here. He meant that wherever the divine substance of God was, he's there. This means when he was sitting and in prayer and communicating, often Jesus went into higher dimensions. Therefore, he was here and he was there. That means that we are multidimensional beings, as some of the old ancient texts indicate. Multidimensional beings. And we can be in many places at one time. It is said that when we go to sleep and we dream, our bodies separate, and our soul travels and gets knowledge and information and comes back to us. This is why many people have always said historically, if they had a decision to make, they'd say, let me sleep on it. Why did they want to sleep on it? Because they knew if they slept on it, then the right decision would come. It would be automatic. We have to understand that there are nutrients for the soul, and we have to embody these nutrients. Nutrients for the soul are, number one, acceptance. That is number one. We have to accept the idea that I am a soul. Many of my clients, I have assisted them in tapping into their soul by looking in a mirror. The eyes are known as the seat of the soul. So I ask them to look deeply in a mirror into their eyes and just simply say, I am a soul. Recognition that you are a soul taps into the soul's energy. It sort of wakes it up. You begin to communicate with your soul, and the soul, like any aspect, when you show love or appreciation or acknowledge it, just acknowledging that you're a soul. And if you say it and say it and say it and say it and say it, you will feel your soul rising up in you. You will feel the energy of your soul. And if you begin to say, I love my soul, I love my soul. Many who have not had a very healthy self-esteem, when they begin to say, I love my soul, the soul will awaken in your body more love for self. All of a sudden, one day you'll wake up and you'll be like, I like myself more today. Has this ever happened to anyone? That you just woke up and you just loved yourself a little bit more? This happens when you tap into the essence of your soul, because the soul moves through this vehicle called a body. And we need this type of carbon-based body to live on this planet. Other planetary systems that have life force, they have different types of bodies that are relevant for their environment. So this body is just a vehicle that we're moving through. But nutrients for the soul, number one, you must accept the fact. And as you move through your day, think about it as often as possible. I really am a soul. That's who I am. You don't have to speak it out loud. You can just say it to yourself and say it to yourself. And if you say it to yourself and you begin to offer more prayers of appreciation, meditate and create affirmations. I love my soul so much, and the love for my soul is penetrating every cell in my body. I love my soul. I appreciate my soul. You begin to say this over time, it'll subtly happen. One day, your soul will reach its full stature. This is why we're here on this planet, for our souls to grow and be the best that we can be. One thing we must begin to embody is the fact that we were made in the image and the likeness of God. That's very difficult for humans to embody and fully receive, because we've been told that we're only this or we're only that, and we're not very much. So if you are saying to yourself that you're only this and you're only that, then what you're doing is negating your relationship with the Creator. Because if you're made in the likeness and the image it must be your true self that you're made in the likeness and image of the soul. So if you love your soul, you're loving who? God. Because we are all individual expressions of God. So how can we have a low self-esteem? How can we not have profound love if we know that we are made in the image and the likeness of God? The more we love God, the more we love ourselves, because that's who we are, eternal. Our souls, who are who we are, lives forever. When people have a dis-ease in the body, scientists claim that it generally starts, the illness starts in the cells, in the cellular structure. So if illness begins at the cellular structure, we need the essence of our soul. We need to communicate with our souls. We need our souls to be able to penetrate every cell in our body. This is how miraculous healings come about, because we've tapped into our souls. The soul is so powerful, it can travel to other dimensions. It lives forever. Certainly, it can penetrate a physical body and give it a healing. That should be the least that it can do. And our faith and our belief in these ideals is what makes it happen. And if we don't believe, and if we only believe a little bit, that is us, a lack of faith. We must increase our faith and belief as to who we are. We are much more than we have ever been told. We are so much more, and we've been studied and studied and studied by every system that there is. The scientific community has studied us, and they still don't understand the real functionings of the soul. So we ourselves have to tap into who we are, that we can get the truths of who we are. And then we can activate those aspects of us to give us supreme power. Just think, if every person in this room was operating in supreme power, who could manipulate you? Who could control you? Who could influence you without your okay? So since illness begins at the cellular body, then we have to understand that there must be an energy field that moves from the soul to the physical body. Many people believe that their soul is just encapsulated in this physical body. That's not true. Your awareness of who you are and the consciousness of you determines where your soul is. The soul is so powerful that it permeates outside of us to a very far degree, and it rolls and moves into higher dimensions. In different ancient texts, and even in the Western world, here in America, we always talk about our auric field. In the business world, it's called man's personal space. And if someone steps into your personal space that's a stranger, you will feel indifferent, and even if they're behind you and you didn't see them, you're going to feel them, and you're going to turn around because they stepped too close to you. They tapped into an aspect of you that you may not know that it exists, but it does exist. In the Eastern world, where they have the most ancient texts and the ancient spiritual practices, they claim that within this auric field there are several subtle bodies. We can't see them because they vibrate at such a high frequency that we just can't see them. But within these subtle bodies, each one is supposed to reach into a higher dimension. We have what is called a etheric body, or a body double, which is within this auric field. Then we have an astral body and an emotional body. And there are many governments that understand this because they've studied humans, but they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know who you really are. These bodies that are within us, they have a frequency. There is an instrument that has been developed decades ago. And this instrument can measure the frequency within this field that surrounds mankind. It's an electromagnetic field. And it draws and it repels, just like a magnet. This is why you can walk into a room and you can see someone. You never met them before. No, you know nothing about them, but it's something about them you just don't like. So you have to sort of stay away from them. That is this field. It's feeling. It's picking up information. Every time we walk and we walk past another human, these auric fields overlap. Often we pick up other people's thought forms. They can come into this field. We pick up their feelings. This is why it's important to be very conscious of the people that you interact with. Because you might have a person that's deeply depressed and you're always with them. They may not even know they're deeply depressed. But when you leave them, you're feeling a little down. You picked up that energy. And if you consistently pick up this energy from different people, your energy field will go down. You will feel drained, and you will carry those thought forms and think they're your thoughts, and they're not. This is why when there's one person that may dislike a person, and they're around, and they have a strong dislike, and they're around people that might just be neutral or have no feelings for you, over time, those people will begin to dislike you. And the more they're around that person, the more they will dislike you. This is why we have to be very conscientious of who we are around. And we must know our environments. Now, since we know now that illnesses begin at the cellular level, we must create a bridge or a thought form, a thought that is filled with life force, that moves from our soul's energy, and it becomes a bridge between the soul and ourselves. We can rejuvenate or heal our physical body through the soul's spiritual alignment. Just by knowing who you are, tapping into it. You can even communicate with it by self-talk, self-communication. Asking your soul, which is your true self that never dies, that knows more than you'll ever know, that has knowledge, that's probably old, been here many times, had different experiences that you never had. We can tap into that to rejuvenate. But we must create this bridge through our thought. This is why I wanted to talk about the soul first. Because for me, when people talk about the human body and the aspects of the human mind, body, spirit, or mind, body, soul, soul is always on the end, but I have to put the soul first and foremost. And as we're talking about the souls, we're bringing in the energy of our own souls here. And our souls are listening. And as we're sitting here, there are different souls communicating with other souls. There are people that can see the essence of the souls. I think Michael Beckwith is one of those people. He always says that when he was driving down the street, he could see souls waving at him because he had that ability. Everyone doesn't have that ability to do something of that nature. But that's because they've not put forth the effort to know the possibilities that are within you. So we're going to come back and talk about the soul and how we're going to use this supreme power to have health. But we're going to use our mind also. And we're going to talk about the mind. The mind. I love talking about the mind. First of all, we have to differentiate the difference between the brain and the mind. The mind has no cells. The brain does. Remember, the brain is encased in the physical body. The mind is not. That's been proven through research. The brain has shape and structure. The mind does not. The brain can be touched. The mind cannot be touched. So I have an understanding that the mind continuously lives on with the soul, where that soul goes. And the mind helps that soul communicate with the loved ones, as we talked about earlier. The mind. The mind is malleable. It can be opened or it can be closed off. And if it's closed off to common knowledge by the brain, you know how people get set in their mind and they don't want to hear anything that does not make them comfortable with their beliefs? They have a closed mind. Those who will not read anything that is new, they have closed their minds off. And when you close your mind off, or should I say your brain off, because you're not giving it any stimulus, no new knowledge, nothing, it remains stagnated. And if your brain has been closed off through your beliefs or your perceptions about life or other people, then the mind is automatically closed off. The brain being closes that divine channel that opens your mind to God. There are many people on this planet that channel information. It's historic, it's in the Bible, it's everywhere, it's ancient. There have been many who would get divine revelation, which was information that came strictly from God. That divine information is information that that person has never studied. They know nothing about. There are people today on this planet who are channeling information who never even went to high school, but they know about physics. They know about astronomy. They know about the planetary systems and the universes. They didn't get the information from outside of themselves through the external world. They've got that information from divine mind, just dropping that information into them. And we all have that capacity to channel information, but we must be open. If the mind is malleable or pliable, we ourselves can open this channel by believing, number one, that we can communicate with the divine and that we are worthy and that we love ourselves so much and that God loves us so much that God can communicate with us, through us, as us, because we are connected. And we're connected so deeply and so profoundly, and the more love that we carry, and the more love and gratitude and high frequencies that we embody, then the more profound that channel is, and it begins to open wider and wider and wider, and then you'll know just what to do, how to do, where to go, where to be. Information that you never knew that you could ever understand. You will have a deep understanding of it, because it will drop that information down into your brain that you can understand it. And you'll be conscious of it. There are people sitting in here that I know that channel information. They get divine downloads. I get them myself. I get them often. I know things and information I never went to school for. I know it. I have information that I am appalled. It's so profound that I have to ask my higher self or my spiritual guides. I say, why are you giving me all this information? What am I going to do with it? Where am I going to apply this? Things that I have no business knowing about the universes. Things I have no business knowing as why planet Earth sits as it does and how it affects other planetary systems. They just tell me this. They tell me about love and how important love is. and how love is so profound that the love that God has for us, mankind cannot embody. We would implode. I have no business knowing that. There are so many levels of love, but we can travel into higher realms through our thinking of love by opening our mind to new information. One thing about God, God is forever moving forward and upward. And so are humans, and so are plant life, so is the animal kingdom. You know, we all have heard about, and some maybe have studied evolution profoundly and deeply. But right now, we're in the midst of an evolutionary jump. Evolution didn't stop because we stopped thinking or talking about it. We're in the midst of it. It's so potent and so powerful. Now energies are coming in that are changing our DNA. Our bodies are changing. And it's changing so quickly that even the medical society, they don't really know how to handle the bodies. That's why they're always practicing. And when they get good at something, the bodies have changed again. And then they practice more and they practice more. But now, our bodies are evolving, and many people today are feeling the effects of evolution because we're more aware. There is considered an evolution of consciousness. This means our consciousness is expanding. Our bodies are changing. And the remedies that were good for your grandparents and great-grandparents, they're ineffective today because your body's different.
That's right.
We have to do things different, that our bodies can be whole. Speaking of the mind, there are nutrients for the mind. We have to become more aware and keep a guard at the door of our mind. The mind is so valuable that advertisers spend billions of dollars to captivate our minds. I have noticed that the pharmaceuticals, they're putting so many advertisements on TV regarding their different new medicines. And I even heard a person say, I think I have that. So they'll go to the doctor now and they say, doctor, I think I need such and such a medicine because I have those symptoms. The program is very insidious to keep us under control. And the medications always have serious side effects. And the side effects are worse than the diagnosis. But an unaware mind that is not protected will allow this information to come in. Information is coming in through frequencies now. It's coming through the eye gate and the ear gate. The programs are insidious, and if we are unaware, we will become programmed individuals. We are still trying to delete the old programs that we have. And as we're deleting the old programs, new programs are coming in to affect us. We have to be very, very aware. But the nutrients for the mind are really thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Feelings and emotions. Our feelings are electric, and our emotions are magnetic, or it's the opposite. But both, one is electric and one is magnetic, and they're instruments that can measure your feelings. Technology is at an all-time high. What we're thinking today, tomorrow will be obsolete. So if our thoughts and our feelings are magnetic, the feelings are magnetic. That's why you can be in a room and you feel a certain way and you start talking about that feeling, other people say, me too. And they'll start feeling the same way. This is how we have what is considered mob action. When people get together as an individual, they may never participate in such a low deed. But when they get with the minds of others, it's like a mob action. They'll do what they were shocked that they have done. So this is why we have to be very careful, the people we surround ourselves with, the thoughts that we hold, the feelings that are rising up in us. I'm finding that most of the women on planet Earth, we've been so programmed that now any situation that comes up, we pour our feelings out in front of our logic.
That's right.
And we say things that we shouldn't say that aren't even appropriate for the situation because our feelings are being fed. And our feelings are being fed more so, and it's through our emotional body. And our emotional body, they're attached to our chakras. And each chakra has a color. And the foods that we eat can enhance and be a nutrient for it. But for females, that color is an orange color, an orangish color. And so this is why most of the snacks, Fritos and Cheetos and all those things, they go against our emotional body, and now our emotional selves have gotten out of hand. We should have been feeding it orange colored foods like fruit and orange, cantaloupe, foods like that, papaya. And that'll help settle our emotional bodies, and we can become the master of our emotions. And once we become the master of our emotions, we can become the master of most situations that we encounter. Many of us on this planet make decisions off of how we feel. But once the feelings change, you can look back and say, man, I probably shouldn't have done that. Because your feelings are changing constantly according to the situation and the people that you are engaging. So now we know that for our mind, we must feed it positive thoughts. Affirmations are so powerful and potent to feed our minds. We must say what we are and use the term I am. We must know whatever we place behind I am, we become, because we're made in the image of God. Creator beings. Creator beings. And if you say I am no good, guess what? Not only have you tapped into your brain with that thought, the brain is conscious. But the conscious is tapped into and connected to the subconscious. The subconscious is what creates our realities. So whatever you say, and you say it with feelings, the subconscious begins to put it together and give it to you. If you say, I can't do that, it's hard, it becomes harder because you said it. You're a creator. Every thought, every word, every feeling. When you put feeling behind it, your creation begins immediately. Immediately. So we have to mind our feelings, and feelings are going to come up because feelings live within you. But we've got to pay attention to ourselves, expand our awareness. And when a feeling come up, look at that feeling. Be aware of that feeling. And think about where that feeling came from. And is that the feeling you really want? And what you can do to diminish that feeling, or to annihilate that feeling, to get rid of that feeling. Because all feelings don't belong to you.
That's right.
Now, as I said earlier about that auric field, it being magnetic, electromagnetic energy, it draws more of your thoughts and your predominant feelings. So when you're out and you begin to draw thought forms, because the ether is the air we breathe. Some cultures call it prana. Some people call it pranic energy. You know, it's teeming with life. We have not been taught that. When you go outside and you breathe, and what you breathe in here is teeming with life. Every breath you take gives you more life. So we have to be very conscientious, because within this field, you're drawing energy. Within this field, there is a body they call the bliss body. Now, I know that some of you all have heard or have been around dogs, and they have a whistle. And they can blow that whistle, but humans can't hear it, but the dog's ears will all perk up. They heard it. But you can't hear it because the way the body is designed. So, that means it's a frequency out there that we may be able to tap into, but we can't see it, feel it, or hear it. And so, when you move around and you're around people that had a low frequency and you're an electromagnetic being, a magnet means you're drawing. So if I step over here and I'm with Tiffany and our auras are overlapping, that means that the predominant energy field, I'm going to either accept her energy or I'm going to repel it. And if you're in the habit of influencing this energy yourself, it'll be difficult for outside forces to get in. So now, within this auric field, this subtle body that is closest to the physical body is called the etheric body. The etheric body is a few inches from your physical body, and some cultures call this your body double. When you're around hateful people and you say, well, I'm just going to go anywhere. I don't care if those haters are there. Well, the thing about it, you should care.
Yeah.
Because now, you being an electromagnetic being, you're going to magnetically draw, and they're going to be pouring out. Thought forms. Energy. And that energy, you being a magnet, you just might grab it in your auric field. And then, over time, those who can see auric fields, and there are plenty people, they will be able to look at your aura and they can see very dark colors around your aura. And those dark, it's energy, and it's moving and moving and moving closer and closer. And when it gets into your body double, it goes into your physical body. And now you have a dis-ease. We have to be very mindful of everything that we do. Often I suggest that people put the divine white light of God around them to sort of insulate your physical body when you know that you have to go places where you really don't want to go. Is there anyone here that insulates their physical bodies before they go out? You do?
I do.
That's good.
I work in a psych environment every day. I do that. Yeah.
And it's so important.
Very much so.
Yes?
Can you express to people how they insulate themselves? How they can do that?
Yes, they can. You can, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yes, Karen.
What do you do when your kids are around people that you don't really want them to be around? But you have no other choice for them to be around.
Well, you could, as a parent, you're connected to them intricately through that silver cord. You could close your eyes and see them with the light around them, get an image of them, and you see that pure light pouring into the top of their head and emanate throughout their body going out. Also, there are other means. You can use crystals and stones. There's certain crystals that keep that frequency very high, and you can put that on your child.
Even your adult
Is
child,
there anyone else that has a question?
even when you have an adult child that you see when they're leaving, you want them to be safe and protected.
Wait, I can barely hear you.
Even when you have an
Kelly.
adult child
Uh-huh.
and they leave home, you want them to be protected. You can still what would you do with the crystals on them, or?
Yeah, but you can get specific stones and crystals that protect you, and some that protect your auric field, and you can also give them strategies.
Yes.
You can give them strategies. When they take a shower, they can see that white light clearing and cleansing
Right.
everything, and just all the old toxic energy running down the drain. So there are different strategies that people use.
Good work.
Okay.
Ms. Wilkes, earlier you were saying you was gonna tell everybody how they can pull the white light up through them, so they can learn how to do that.
Well, there's different ways. First of all, the white light comes from above. It comes from above because we have so many different chakras. And in the Eastern world, and this is where the chakra ideas originated, the correct name is chakra. It's spelled chakra, but here we say chakra because of our language. But our chakras, we have so many, and we can tap into what is called our higher chakras. They're above us. We have what is called a star chakra. These chakras we can call upon, and we can see that light. It's a big, beautiful light, and it's colorful, and we can see that light pouring down within us, pouring down throughout our body, pouring down through our chakra systems, just pouring into us. Also, we can see that red light from our root chakra growing down into the earth, grounding us. So there's so many things that we can do with our intention. And when we intentionally say certain things, our words go forth and they affect wherever you send it. This is why I love it in the Bible when it says life and death is in the power of your tongue. So now if life is in the power of your tongue and death is in the power of your tongue, then surely everything in between we must have influence over. And if we don't have influence over it and we're just moving through life as if we're a plant or an animal, then we have not made a conscious choice over our lives. But the power that is in our tongue, that's why God gave us this ability to speak and to think. And what we think before we speak and it rolls off our tongue, the creation begins according to the emotion that you put with it and the feelings. So those are some of the nutrients that we can use for our mind. Also, I think I alluded to it earlier, there were great musicians and such as Mozart, Beethoven, we know that. And all of these people claim that they've gained information from some of the giants that have passed on. We too have the ability, if you want to be a great author, read up on some of the greatest authors ever, and before you go to sleep, think about them. And you will tap into their spirit realm, and you will get information. Whatever it is that you want to be, you can tap into it. But you cannot have a closed mind because of your religious beliefs or the philosophies that you embrace. You must be open. You must be open to divine energies and to other and higher dimensions other than what you know, which is third. Now, there are people that understand that the planet has moved into a fifth dimensional reality and we're settling in now. So therefore, what went on in third is collapsing. And all third dimensional ideas won't work in fifth. And that's why a lot of people are being left behind and they are suffering. And they will not have the fullness of abundance in areas that they would love to have. But once you open your mind and you begin to ask questions, you may hear a faint voice, especially when you're alone. And many people cannot stand to be alone because they will be stuck with themselves. And when you're stuck with yourself, your true self begins to play out in your mind. But if you have your television on or some music on or any other distractions, then you don't want to know yourself. To know yourself is the beginning of greatness. to be able to tap into who you really are, then you can begin to check yourself. You can begin to modify yourself and say, that thought, where'd that thought come from? That's me? You know, we have to face ourselves, because facing ourselves as humans are the most difficult things that there are. To be honest with ourselves, with our behavior, our feelings, our likes and our dislikes. We have to question, where did that come from? Why am I skittish about this? Oh, maybe my parents told me that, and they were born in 1950. And they had their values set by the time I was born, and they taught it to me, but now it won't work today. In this society, it's different. We have to challenge our thoughts. We got to look at them and figure out why we think like we think, and where you can change to become more relevant. And once you begin to quiet your mind and get in tune with yourself and get rid of all the old toxic energies that you know you don't need. And other people don't need to know this, because you're dealing with yourself.
Right.
You done tapped in. And when you tap in, you'll see who you really are. This is why when I see gossipers, I sort of laugh and chuckle. And I know they don't know themselves. So how do they know others so well? That's why I always say what other people think about me is none of my business. None of my business. I don't even care. But once you begin to challenge yourself and begin to recreate yourself by the renewing of your mind, and when you renew your mind, you can become a brand new person. And when you become this brand new person and you raise your frequency, you raise your vibrations, you start to become more grateful. You start to pay attention to nature. You start to see the beauty around you. When you begin to engage in all these things and these ideas, you begin to shift and change yourself, because now you're raising your frequency. Your thoughts raise your frequency. You have to say who I am. You have to decide, not someone else. The outer world has decided who you were way too long. It's time for you to decide who you are by saying I am. And if you are so busy and you don't have time to say I am and create your affirmations, do like me. I've done it historically, forever. I write out my affirmations on little index cards, and I place them in the bathroom. I place them everywhere. I place them on my refrigerator. And as I walk past, my subconscious is taking a picture. Clink, clink, clink. And before I know it, I become whatever I said. Because I'm constantly, repetitiously putting it in my mind. So we have to find ways to make ourselves become supreme. But we got to get rid of the old, the antiquated, what's not working for us, so that we can tap into these new energies. And once you begin to hear that faint voice speaking to you, something might say, you're driving, and something says, go to your left. And you know you want to go to the right. But it feels like something took your hand on that steering wheel and made you go to the left. That was an energy. That was a faint voice from the mind. And once you pay attention to it and you follow it, as you move down the road, you'll find, wow, I'm so glad I made that. Now it's up to you to say, I'm so grateful. Thank you. Gratitude for that. Then that voice will begin to chime into you in other times, and you pay attention in your awareness. You say, I'm grateful, thank you. And it'll begin to guide you more and more, and before you know it, you'll begin downloads of information. And you will know if the information is good, because it will be uplifting. And it will be for your ultimate good. Is the voice peaceful? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. But if you've been walking around with a lot of evil thoughts and envious thoughts and resentful thoughts, then you might tap into a resentful energy. This is why you got to clear yourself out. Know who you are. Get rid of all that stuff. And then you will be able. Now this information, as I alluded to earlier, is often called or labeled channeling. It is divine wisdom. Now, when you tap into divine wisdom, there you won't have to ask anyone outside of yourself about your life, the life force or your decisions, because you will have an innate knowing as to who and what. Often, if you just really want to increase and speed up this voice, this inner voice, you have to place yourself in a listening position. I used to do that years and years ago. I'd hear something, I'd be like, the soul and the mind knows more about you than you'll ever know. So if I put myself in a position of listening, I'm sending a message. I'm open. And I get my messages. I get information. And it'll put me in a place that is ahead of the masses. This also allows you to be an intentional, conscientious creator. Because now you tapped into another source and you can communicate with that source. And as that communication is ongoing, you can communicate to the mind. You communicate through your brain. You communicate through your feelings. All of these come into play. Now, when you desire a specific thing, whatever it is, and you've tapped in, that thing is on its way to you. You can't miss it, and it won't miss you. An intentional, conscientious creator. So therefore, if you begin to put yourself in that mindset, you'll watch the other thoughts. You'll catch your own self. That's why it's good to have people around you that are on the same level you are, or you all are traveling toward the same journey, spiritual growth, and you can help each other when you see someone say something that is not for their ultimate good. You say, hey, did you just say that? And you'll say, oh, no, let me uncreate that. And so this is why it's so important. As you journey on your spiritual path, ensure that you have someone or people around you that are sort of like-minded, that are willing, that they want to grow, they want to become more spiritual. And as Nikola Tesla said, I am a receiver of information.
How does one uncreate? Because I think a lot of people may be interested in figuring out how to uncreate.
There are many ways that a person can uncreate. First of all, when the words slip out and you weren't mindful of it, and you say something before the creation really takes hold, you say, oh, I take that back. I uncreate that. That is not what I want. Now you've sent the message. I'm uncreating. If you can create something, you can uncreate that. You can even go back in your mind. Remember I spoke earlier about eternal time? You have the ability to tap into your past. There are things that were very troubling in many humans' past, and we always go over it just like it was. You can go back in your mind and you can change the entire scenario by changing the scene. It's all about freeing yourself. Some people love being victims. But there are circumstances that we can go back in our minds and change. Yes, Anna Marie.
So, I have a question. So, if you're around people who have that negative energy, and is there a way to change their energy to bring them to you, or is that something they have to want to do?
Well, it is something that they would have to want to do, because everyone is on their own spiritual path, and everyone's not in the same place. And this being a free will planet, you can share some ideas with them, but it's up to them. You can plant the seed, but know one thing. Your duty might be to plant the seed, or your duty may be just to water it, that seed. Or your duty might be just to fertilize it. Know your place in relationship with that person. See where they are, and do what you do and let it go, because there's always someone else that has a duty also.
Right, and like I notice when I'm around people that have that negative energy, I pick up on it very easily and then it kind of brings me down, so.
Yeah, I think that's because you're an empath.
And I'm always trying to think of ways to lift their energy up, but if it's not coming from their end, I think the best thing to do is just limit time with them.
Well, that's what I would do. I would limit time with them, and I would also be aware, expand my awareness, and put some type of protection up, because you don't want to carry their energy. And you are an empath. You pick up other people's energies, but you got to find ways to protect yourself that you won't carry that. Because if you pick up everybody's energy, you'll be down. You have to just block that. Just be aware, but don't allow the emotion of it or the feeling of it to impact you. That means in your own awareness, you will put up a blockage. I see you, but I don't feel you. You're welcome. So now we've talked about the mind and we've talked about the body. Is it time for? Oh, where we break it? Oh, okay. Oh, Renee. Okay. Yeah, we talked about the mind and we talked about the body. I mean, the soul. And the reason I talked about the soul first is because, as I said earlier, the soul is the most important aspect of mankind. So now research has been very generous when it comes to the body, because the body is tangible. You can touch it, it's gross, it's dense, you can look at it, you can dissect it, but no one can dissect the soul and no one can dissect the mind. They can dissect the brain. So we're going to talk about the body and how we will bring the body into play, which is almost the least important aspect, because the body's wholeness is predicated on the wholeness of your mind and your soul. Your mind and your soul. If those two are whole, your body will become whole. The soul can help heal the body, and your thoughts, your mind can help also in that. There are people that have created illness in their body. Hypochondriacs. They've thought and believed that they had a sickness so much. And the pharmaceuticals are supported by showing them all these advertisements. And if you have a little symptom and you start to dwell on that symptom, you'll start seeing other symptoms in your body, because the subconscious will give you what you pay attention to. And so if a hypochondriac can create a serious sickness, and when that hypochondriac goes to the doctor will see the symptoms. And the doctor will make prescriptions, surgeries, and other things available to you because you created it. But on this planet, there's always polarity. Where there's an up, there's a down. Where there's an in, there's an out. There's always an opposite. If the body can create a sickness, surely the body can create great health. Supreme health. So if anyone has a question or thought about it, anything you have a concern about.
I wanted to, you said, the nutrient for the soul, one was acceptance and the other was, we are made in the image of God. It's those two?
Well, affirmations,
Okay.
meditation, prayer, all of these tap into the soul's energy. Anyone else have a question or have a statement? Nina? Okay. I'm going to start this particular second part off with the fact that every human in here, your real environment is internal. That's your real environment. That is your truest environment. Internal. It is up to you to decide if you have the inner strength and the will to go in and discover what's in you. Because what is in you is waiting for your attention. The outer environment is an artificial environment that is stimulating you to be controlled, and that is that. We talked about the body, and we talked about the mind, and we talked about the soul. And we know now that the scientific community has no real definitive answers as to who and what the powers are when it comes to the soul or the mind. They know it exists, but they're still studying it, still researching. Even under quantum physics, they're still researching where the mind starts and where it ends. There's no ending. So now we're going to talk about where the real research is. And the only real research has been on the body. So we're going to talk about the brain. The brain is considered the seat of intelligence, comprised of billions of cells called neurons and a number of neurotransmitters. That's the brain. It can be touched. It can be seen. It can be dissected. But now, this really touched me deeply when the scientific community did the research on the heart. And they concluded that the heart has a brain, and the heart's brain is an intricate network of several types of neurons, neurotransmitters, proteins, and support cells. And often people feel before they know. The heart is very important. It's a very important aspect of the physical body. The heart knows often when the brain doesn't. People say, oh, I felt that. And they hold right here, they put their hand across the heart energy field. This is the heart chakra. The heart chakra. We're going to tap into this heart chakra today and talk about it and how people can begin to draw supreme love into their lives. And if you draw supreme love into your energy field, then you will radiate it outward. And as you radiate it outward, you are magnetic and you will draw love, lovers, and the things that you desire. You'll draw them into your field because you will walk around as a radiator of love. A radiator of love. And if you're radiating something outward, it's going to touch and it's going to draw. It's going to pull. So anyway, I'm so happy to know that the heart has this intricate network of several types of neurons and neurotransmitters. It makes me feel so good because now we know the brain is a brain. And we know that the heart has brains, cells. Now we're going to go to the gut. There are systems in the gut which involves hundreds of millions of neurons, and it has been considered prior to the discovery of the heart, the gut was considered the second brain. So now that the scientific community has discovered that we have a brain, a central brain, and we have brain cells in our heart, and we have brain cells in our guts, I believe, this is my own understanding, I believe that brain cells are in every system in our body. Every system. The liver is comprised of cells that created a liver. Distinctly for the liver. The kidney has kidney cells. Distinctively that made the kidney. And every other system. Our circulatory system. Every system has its own cellular diagram, I should say. Its own cellular structure. Every system. So if there is a system that seems to be out of order. We have the innate power, the supreme power, which is our soul. We can bridge our energy from our soul to that cellular structure. We can communicate with it because it has to have a sense of intelligence. Because my liver's not bumping up to my spleen. Every system is intelligently operating. So you, with your brain, you have the power to communicate intelligently with the intelligence within every cell in a specific system. We have trillions of cells, trillions in our body. And right now there's some dying off and new ones are being built up. Now as they build up, we can say what type of cells we want. We don't have to just let our cells just live and die, new ones come in and old age sets in and you die off. You can tell yourself that every cell in my body is youthing.
Say that again.
You can tell yourself that every cell in your body is youthing, and it will fall in alignment with what you say. All you got to do is look back historically. Look at ancient texts, how people lived to be 1,000 years old. But we have decided that old age sets in at a specific age, and we agree with it consciously, and we plan on it, and we fall for that, and we talk about it, and we get with other people to talk about it, and next thing you dress like it. You act like it. You're sending messages to your body, and there are subtle messages. Your subconscious sees everything you do, and it takes it as your reality. I know in the Bible it talks about, people talk about, I forgot how many scores and 10, who knows? Christians?
Three scores.
Three scores.
And 110 or something.
3 scores, okay, I think it's around 70.
70.
So that's for, people put that in their mind, they go to church and they put in their mind, well, yeah, I'm blessed because I got 3 scores. Well, you could have had 5 times 3 scores. And you could have been healthy with your longevity. Others were. The programs now keep us aging and giving up on life. We have to redirect the thoughts that we consume, and we can have what we say because the power of life and death is in our tongue. There are certain words that we must use, that we can become so filled with these words. These words are healing. I am one that believes that words have power, and they go forth, and they affect where you send them. I was reading something recently, actually I've read it many times, but I went over it again, and it's by what they call 10 rungs, and they were talking about the word, and I jotted it down, so I got to share it. How powerful words are, and how we're going to have to deal with our words today to become supreme when we speak our words. This is what they say. This is ancient. It says that you should utter words as though heaven were opened within them. And as you did not put the word into your mouth, but as though you entered into the word. When you enter into a word, you enter into the spirit of the word. Everything has a spirit. Everything. I'm going to read this again. You should utter words as though heaven were opened within them, and as though you did not put the words into your mouth, but as though you entered into the word. So now we have to figure out what words we want to use that we can move into. Love is very important. When I say I am love, I enter into the word of love. And when I enter into the word of love, I feel it. And the definition comes up. And the spirit of the word becomes me, because the spirit can always communicate with other spiritual energy. If I say I am love and I see the words and I project the feelings and I project the emotion of love and I project this feeling and these words to every system and every cell in my body, I will become a radiator of love. Love is a healer. Have any of you all ever heard that before? Who's heard it? Oh my, everybody's heard it. How many of us embody that idea and use that word for healing? Ooh, I love it. I love it. Okay, these words are so important. Now, and when I advertised this class, I said, do you want more love in your heart? Do you want to have more love? Do you want to draw more love? This is how we're going to do it. We understand the old ancient practices and we understand our chakra systems. Most people know there are chakra systems throughout the body. They're so powerful, but they spin off into what is called nadis. People don't talk about that. These nadis are smaller expressions, but they're very potent and powerful, and they express throughout our auric field. Who's familiar with nadis? That's important, isn't it? And there's so many. It's just they just spread out so many. When you focus, take your awareness. Let us just take our awareness from me and put your awareness on your heart right now. Just put your awareness on your heart. Love can flow as an infinite nutrient within the circulation of your body and your blood. You want to relieve the pressure off your blood? Say that my circulatory system is filled with love. See the words, close your eyes, see your circulatory system flowing throughout your body. See the words of love just flowing as minutely as you can. You can have that love flowing throughout your body. You become a radiator of love. Just let that love. Let that love, you become magnetic. This is how you get supreme power. Focusing on your heart chakra. Drawing in love from on high. Building as much love, increasing your love. Because I don't care where you are on your quotient of love, it can be increased. So think about increase. I want to increase my love. Some people use specific stones or crystals and they put them on their heart chakra and they help to open up that heart chakra that they can draw in more love, because so many people have been hurt on this planet and their heart chakras have closed off. But they don't even know that their heart chakras are closed off because they're so resentful. They don't like men, they don't like women, they mad, they this, they that, I was hurt, all that closes that heart down. But when you begin to put your awareness on that with love, it'll open that heart chakra out. Because when your heart chakra is closed down or it's not operating properly, you're not pouring out love adequately to attract, because you're a magnet. You got to increase that love and keep increasing the love and keep increasing it until you have what is considered divine love. Just keep on increasing it. Ask your soul to help penetrate this heart chakra and give you more love. And ask your soul, tap into your mind and let that love perpetrate, penetrate, and percolate in your heart. And as it is doing so, that heart chakra will open up. And when you walk, that love, now you got love words circulating through your circulatory system. Because you said it and your words went forth. But now your words don't have to go forth because your words are in you. Now you got love in pouring out of every pore. And when you walk, people are going to feel that love. And the opposite sex, they're going to look at you. they gonna say, I don't know what it is. But they know it's something. But you'll know. You'll know that you are a radiator of love, because now you have pushed your love quotient high as you can. But you can continually even push it higher and higher and higher and higher. There's no limit to love. The only limit to love is the limit you put on your mind.
That's right.
Your perception of love. You have to figure out, what does love really mean to me? Does love mean that it is selfless? Does it mean that it's all about what I want? What is love? Embody more love, and then you become a magnet for love. But the first thing is to look at yourself and ask yourself, how much love do I embody for myself? Is my self-love as high as it can be? What can I do to make myself love myself more? How can I love myself more? Why is it I don't really like myself, and it's in subtle ways and I don't know it? Why when I get in the shower, I take this rag and I start because you don't love. Treat it with love, like you would somebody you love. Treat it gently. Show your body you love it, and your body will love you back. All of these small things we can do just to help ourselves show love to the body. And I'm telling you, when you pour love out, it's coming back at you. It's just going to come back. You're going to find yourself becoming magnetic for love. When you walk outside, you're going to feel the sun shining even brighter, because now you're more love and you're more in touch with the creative forces of the universe. Just love, love, love. And the more you love your soul, the more you're loving your true self. And the essence of it is going to pour forth in your physical body. It can't help it. The love that you embody, that is in your mind and in your heart, it has to touch your cells. Because now you in your internal environment. And I would recommend that people do this often. You with yourself. Don't be distracted. Yourself is the most important thing. If you're empty, you can't do anything for anybody. And if you got a lover, guess what? You can't love them, you're too tired. So we have to wake up so that we can become a supreme magnet for love. I'm a magnet for love, and I know it. And when I go into certain environments and I know what's going on there, I'm going to increase my love energy before I get there. I'm going to be... So now we're going to use this brain, which is a part of our body that is in the structure here in the body. We're going to use the brain to envision a healthy body. You can get pictures of when you were really healthy and really youthful. Just go dig up those pictures, put them all around, so that you can remember what it was like, because that self is still in you. It's still in you. People talk about, oh yeah, the little child within, psychologists, they talk about it all the time, the little child within. Well, hey, that young adult is in you too. All you got to do is carve it out, because over time you keep putting on different clothing, different garments, and it's different. You can remove all that and tap into who you were when you knew you had, and you knew you were the stuff. But you still the stuff, and the stuff is still in you, but it's up to you to recognize it. Recognize it. Use your brain to envision who you want to be. Your brain and your mind has, look, there's no limit. The only limit is what you put on yourself. You are a creator being. And if you can create matter, that means you can sit down and you can visualize a vehicle, and you see that vehicle in your mind's eye, and you want it, and you got desire, and all of a sudden you show up out here in the outer realm. If you can create like that, surely you can create on the inner, where creation begins. There's always a pattern. There must be two. You see it on the inner, and it's got to show up on the outer. Your inner is your blueprint. A blueprint. There's always been a pattern for anything. But you yourself create the pattern in your mind, and universal mind will cut that pattern out and present it to you. You got to have it first. Everything starts in the mind. Then you must take these thoughts that you can have whatever you desire. And when I say that, I'm sure some of you all felt, I don't know. It's a feeling because people have told you externally that you can't. And in order to have something, you got to work real hard, you got to do this, you got to do that. Is their program. You create your own program on the inside. You determine where you want to be. You determine what you want to look. You make that determination. I was thinking a few days ago about how women, there's a lot of women, they're always complaining that their hair is falling out. And the Spirit showed me this. And I said to myself, wow. It showed me that when society, the programmers said, you must shave your eyebrows. And we start plucking and pulling them out. We sent a message to our higher self. Then they said, shave your legs. So we shave it. Shave our legs. And you'll notice over time, the hair on your legs don't come back like they used to. Then they said, well, you got to shave everything. We have sent a subtle message to the body by getting rid of all the hair that we don't want hair. We done sent that to our subconscious. So don't feel bad if your hair don't grow. You sent the message. You sent the message. We have to redefine the thoughts and why we do what we do. And is it really necessary for you? You know, God gave us this hair. And the hair is not just to keep us warm. They are fillers, sort of like small antennas that feed information out of the ether and into you. So now you've lost aspects of yourself. Everything God gave us, it was given for a reason. But we don't want it. And we saying it. We showing it. Yeah, I got to go home and shave. It's so important. And then next thing you know, your body responds by making you no longer have hair. You can uncreate what you created. It's up to you. And when you have these thoughts with strong feelings and emotions, you get what you thought. So if you got it, remember, you created it. But you were unaware. Unaware. So you are, and we must remember this, we are magnetic beings, and we attract everything that is like us. And when we change us, we attract on another level. We know that magnets attract iron. We are electromagnetic beings, attracting and attracting. This is why it's so important to work with that heart chakra. Get that love energy so you can attract love and you can become a supreme power when it comes to love. And if you don't do it, then you must blame yourself. Because you're with yourself 24 hours a day. And if you don't find the time to think on these things, you must blame yourself. You can increase your relationships that you have already, friendships, by thinking, by affirmations. I am a magnet for love. Everyone loves me. I am attractive. I am beautiful. And if you can't say you're beautiful about your physical body yet, think about your soul. I am beautiful. Come on. I am filled with light. Light is very powerful. When you say, I am filled with light, that light goes into your body, every cell, and it flows out with that love energy, and it's an attractor. When God created the earth, what was said, let there be light. When I want to create a manifestation, I think about it, I envision it, and I say, let there be light. I use the same words. I'm a creative being, made in the image and likeness of God. I don't care what people say I'm not. I'll say what I am. And you all must say what you are. And you have to speak it for your own I am self. Can't nobody speak it for you. No one. You have to want this. And you gotta want it bad. You gotta almost crave it. When you crave it, that means you want it. You know how you sitting at home and you don't have no snacks? And you be like, man, you open the refrigerator, nothing in there, you go look in the pantry. You say, let me go look in the car. You're craving this thing. You can use that same energy. It's an energy that draws and pulls. And you can use that to draw love when you say it, when you want to go out and you know all the people going to be there you might like. All you got to do is go over there and stand close by them and act like you don't see them. Just radiate out that love. Just radiate it out. Radiate it out. Because that light and energy is going to pour out into your auric field. And, you know, everyone has this auric field. So now, don't mess around and get in that person's auric field and just stand there. That person gonna turn around and say, there's something about you. And you gonna say, you think so? But you will already know. You will know in your knower what you're working with. Because now you got the power of love. And you got a supreme power. Because the soul is made of love, light, and beauty. So now when you start to working with that heart chakra, and you know that love is a component of the soul, you're drawing it in. And when you love your body, and you loving your liver, and you loving your kidneys, and you loving your breasts, and you loving everything about you, you pulling the soul's energy in that is a component of love. Isn't that lovely? Yes. Lovely, lovely. The thing about this entire thing is repetition. Repetition is very important. The more you say a thing, the more impetus it gets. It's flung out into the universe. There are many metaphysicians that claim that everything that has ever been created was created in the ether. And man's mind drew it to himself. So you can have something new that you want to create. Pardon me. Pardon me. You giving me sickness. So we can draw these things to ourselves by flinging them out into the universe. Thought forms. Thought forms. What are thought forms? Have anyone ever thought about thought forms? Thought forms are all over the universe. Because now we have so many different types of electromagnetic energy flowing through the ethers, it has somewhat interrupted the flow of thought forms. But there was a time before the Pony Express and the mail that people would communicate with their loved ones overseas. It's documented. They would know. They would send love messages. They would know when a loved one passed over. They would feel it. They knew it. It was open. It wasn't a lot of... It was just easy. It was easy to do it. It was a common practice. And we can do that. This is why people say that 4 o'clock in the morning is very important, because society and humans are sort of resting. The ethers are wide open, and you can draw what you want. You can send thought forms outward. You can send them. If you know you have an interview tomorrow, you want a contract, you want a date, think about that person. You can send thought forms and images. It's so much we can do with our minds that we've not been told. You can communicate with a person that's 1,000 miles away, right here, internally. We have that capacity, and most people have limited because they know nothing of it. They don't read about the history of all these things that have happened that humans were able to do. And if one human can do it, all humans can do it. It is the limit that we have put on ourselves. There are people sitting right here, and I know one of them right now looking at my auric field. Because there's an energy when we're talking and we feel so good. It's an energy that radiates outward. People can see it. And your souls know it. And the souls begin to communicate with each other because that is the communication language of the souls. We're communicating. But remember, what you repeat, and the more you want the thing, and the more you crave the thing, your predominant thought will bring you what you say. There are people on this planet right now who not only can manifest anything, they precipitate. And to precipitate means they can think of a thing and it shows up immediately in their hand. Immediately. There's no waiting period. Has this happened to anyone that you desired a thing and all of a sudden it was right there? Anyone? I know it. I know it. Okay. The thing about life, we must perfect our pattern. Visualization is an innate ability. And we use our brain structure to visualize. We're still talking about the body because so much research has been done on the body. So we use our visualization ability. We image. Now, we must create a pattern for universal mind or God to create from. You cannot keep changing your pattern. It's like if you had blueprints and you want to build a building. You got to have a pattern. So now if you have a blueprint here, and now you've got the architects and got everybody available, but you want to, I'm going to change this. I'm going to change that. You keep going back changing it, then you'll never get the building that you wanted initially. You have to make a decision before you create your pattern in your mind. Do you really want that thing? You have to ask yourself that. Because most of the time, we really don't. We don't. A lot of people say, all I want is some money. Well, guess what? That's exactly what you'll get. And if you say that and you say it, you're going to walk outside and you're going to see a nickel. Because you did not create a definitive pattern. Everybody says they want money, but really they just want the things that money can purchase.
Yeah.
So see the things in your mind's eye. They're more tangible. See the things in your mind's eye that you want. Now, each person in here has a spiritual path that is uniquely designed for that person. Everyone, spiritual path, everyone. Now, on this spiritual path, as you walk your path, there are people that's going to cross your path. There's people that's going to walk maybe a mile or 2 years with you, then they're going to go on. Some will make their transition. Some others will just walk past you in the store, but your path is right there. Now, this is a strategy that you can use on the inner. Every path has a fork in the road, and you have your own path. But at that fork in the road, that's where a decision has to be made. You're either going to go here or you're going to go there. But you know right there at that fork, that's your goal. Now, that goal seems like it's way down that path as you walk in it. But as you walk and you look at that path, that fork in the road where your goal sits, you yourself have the ability to draw that fork in the road closer to you in your mind's eye. And you draw it, and you draw it, and you draw it. Next thing you know, you'll have it quicker than you thought. Because you created it. Stop delaying your blessings. Bring them up front where you can experience them right here and right now. Every human that is on this planet is a divine pattern in the mind of God. Everyone is a divine pattern in the mind of God. And we are all so unique. No two are exactly alike. We are individualized patterns created in God's mind or God's energy field. And here we are. You can be a twin, and that twin will be different from you. Individualized. This is why we have our own individualized path that only we can walk. And we don't need people who've not walked your path or who understand your journey here, because we don't understand our journey here. We're just walking this spiritual path. So you can't let outside people determine where you go and how far you can go, and they will hinder you because they can't go there on their path. We have to be careful. We have to surround ourselves with people who are going to inspire you, who's going to tell you, yes, you can, when the world says you can't. Who can make you see that vision and clarify it and make it clear and see you doing this thing that you want, whatever it is. It is available to you. Desires come from our higher self. Desires come from our divine mind. If a desire just falls into you, into your heart, into your feeling world, and all of a sudden you want that thing, and you want it because you know uniquely it's supposed to be yours. Not because somebody had it over here, or somebody has it over there, because you know it's something about this thing that is supposed to be yours. That means that it was given to you by divine mind. And if divine mind plants a seed or a goal or an idea in you, it is ready to take you to it. But we, with our doubting selves, we are so scared and we feel with fear because other people can't do it or it hasn't been done before. But you may be just the one that was chosen to do it. So now if you just say, okay, I know I don't have enough financing, I know I don't have this and I don't have that, don't have the technology. If you keep on walking towards your goal, because God planted the seed, just keep walking with faith. Just keep on going anyway, doing all you can do. All of a sudden, all the things that you need, they just get on your path. They just come. Has any of you all ever tried that? You want to talk about it? I see y'all saying yeah. Well, that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing. Yes. One thing I want to say today that's very important to me. I hear a lot of people tell me their stories. And I was thinking one day. I was just sitting at home thinking, contemplating. And I thought about it. I said, now if a person can tell me their story of their past, and you can tell me a story of your present, why can't you tell me a story of your future? It's in you. You determine what your future wants to look like. And in your mind's eye, you cut the pattern out. You can envision your future. If you can use your mind to see the past and you can see the present and you can see the future. But you have to work with yourself and tell yourself, this is who I am. This is my futuristic self. You can see yourself now being that in your mind's eye. Whatever you want to see yourself in. If you want to be the head of a corporation, then I am that. I am the head of this corporation. And I'm en route to my office now. You have to play it out as if it is real. Because once you put that realistic pattern inside of you, it's got to show up. But if you start doubting with fears, fear is one of the most lowest frequencies that a human can embody. Fear is one of the reasons a lot of people have physical issues, because fear restricts. It restricts your body. It restricts your mind. It keeps your mind sort of closed off from the ideas that may be trying to get in. Fear will restrict every cell in your body, and then your blood won't flow properly.
That's right.
When you see fear, you feel fear, you have to face that fear immediately before it gets a stronghold and it begins to become magnetic and it'll draw the fears. Another thing, you know you're fearful. You have to be free. You have to free yourself. You have to free yourself from all the conditioning that we have been going through. Right now, people are so scared and so filled with fear, they walk down the street and they retract. They're walking past somebody that's coming, you retract. You pull yourself in. I had to practice relaxing and knowing that I am a divine creation of God and I'm free. So now I'm radiating out this love. I'm radiating it outward. But I had to work on myself to get there because I had fell prey to the fears of the world. We have to pay attention to ourselves, expand our awareness so that we can be free. And when you're free to be more creative. That right brain gets into gear, and all of a sudden you get these creative ideas and you can move forward. But if you're restricted, it's very difficult to move forward. So these are the things that we must say. And when it comes to our physical body, there are certain things that we must tell our body. I have talked to some people that live in the South. And I went to a family reunion, and there was quite a few people there. And all of them were sitting around talking about their knees. And they were going to get a knee replacement. And I'm getting my knee replacement next year. I'm going to try. And all of us were talking about they all got this, and I just looked at them. They all And so guess what? Being in that field of energy, with all of them as a collective saying these things, it got into my energy field because I did not have my barriers up. And I got home, my knees started hurting. And this is honest to God truth. So I said to myself, I'm going to change this, because I was like, God, what am I to do? Because I don't like my knees hurting. What am I doing? I know I'm not doing this. Hey, it told me, that small voice said, when you get out the bed every morning, before you get out, say, I am strong and flexible. Strong and flexible, and don't you all know it disappeared? All that little suffering getting out the bed disappeared. So now when I go around them again, I'm going to have my barriers up. Because I am strong and I am flexible. And when people go around talking about they pissed off, what you're doing, you're sending a message to your bladder. No. We have to be careful. We have to be careful what you say about your body. You must create. The subconscious always responds to your feelings and your emotions. So if you say, I feel good, even though you know you feel a little discomfort, you keep saying it, I feel good. I feel good, and you get a picture of that place that you heard, you say you are good, you're loved. Often, what I do for myself when I'm in theta brainwave activity, that's right before I'm falling asleep, bam. That's a place that the yogis have always aspired to. It's a meditative state, but theta is where you can program yourself. So every night before I go to bed, I do something. I say something as I'm going to sleep. I don't care. I'm going to talk. And so I say something. I talk to myself. I talk to my body. And I say, I start sometime from the brain, or I use my flesh. And I'll say, I thank you. I sure thank you, and I appreciate you. Appreciate you for the work you've done. I love you. Thank you. I talk to my brain. I say, I sure thank you for functioning so well. I appreciate you and I love you. I just keep going down my lungs. I just keep going down my stomach, my organs, my digestive system. I talk to my skeletal system. The skeletal system is so important because it holds your body up. And I tell my skeletal system, I love you. I love you, and I've given you a lot of hard knocks, but I sure love you, and I thank you for still supporting every system in my body. I thank you, and I love you. I appreciate you. It's an intelligence in every system. And anything that's...
Questions. They had questions. back here earlier. They
I'm
was trying to
sorry.
get you.
No, it's okay. I wanted to ask,
Go
I know
ahead.
you were gonna address it earlier. And then you brought it up again, you said, preparing yourself to go out amongst people who may have adverse, energy fields as you. So how do you prepare yourself? You said like, you went out and you were with the ladies and they had the hurt knees and you went home and your knee was hurting, but now you know better, next time you'll prepare yourself before you go hang out with those people. What do you do?
Well, actually, I insulate myself
How do you?
because there are certain teaching, spiritual practices that I use, because I've studied so many.
She
What
wants,
other is-
she wants an example.
I'm getting ready to give you one. Thank you.
Okay.
In
I'm
the
just a
Ascended
helper.
Master teachings, there is a statement. It is a belief that you have different aspects of who you are. And there is a part of us, the highest part, that is closest to the divine. It is called your I am presence. And I say things, and I'll say, beloved mighty I am presence, enfold me now in your mighty powerful substance of protection, love and light. Fill me with this substance. Make me invincible, invisible, and invulnerable to everything with thy divine substance. And I'm grateful, and I thank you. That's one thing. I wear stones, like I wear selenite stones. I brought a selenite stone here today. I have one selenite stone here, and I have one selenite stone there. Selenite stones bring about angelic energy, protective energy. There are other stones you can wear to protect yourself from other people's impending into your auric field. So you have to do certain things. You know, keep the white light around you. When I'm talking to my daughter, when she calls me and we talk every day 20 times, and I said, what you doing? She said, I said, look, keep the light around you. She said, okay. Listen. You say it enough, it becomes a permanent part of you. That light will protect you. Remember, God said, let there be light. That light is a powerful thing. It's very powerful.
Nancy over there.
Nancy?
I was just wondering when you were talking about saying, I love you to my parts of my body. Do you say that out loud?
Well, it depends. It does. I live by myself. So I'm thinking it and I'm visualizing. And this is at night, right before I go to sleep. I'm saying it, and I think I just have a language that I use now. I say it, whatever it is. If it's easier for you to just say it within, because you don't have to speak by opening your lips and letting the sound come out. You can just say it within, showing gratitude for every aspect of your body. And your body will show up better. Because every cell in your body is renewed. I forgot, but you get a new liver, I think, every 7 months, and your skeletal system get a new this and a new that over a certain period. And if you begin to build your cells with these new ideas, these cells that we have has an atom in it. You can bless, and I do this. I bless every cell there are trillions. I bless every cell in my body down to the atom, down to the mitochondria, which gives it power. I bless them and I love them.
Every night.
And morning too, when I'm about to awake. I do it often, even sometimes just driving. I'm with myself. I don't have music on, playing and stuff in my car. I'm just thinking, and I'm sending messages to my body, loving it, just loving it.
It shows.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
does.
does.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Definitely getting life and youth.
We have to fall in love with ourselves. Now, how do we fall in love with ourselves? First of all, we have to believe that we're worthy of love. God created us, and our true self is love. And if you can love God and think about how deeply you really love God, you depend on God, and if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't. You know how people put on social media, if it wasn't for God? Yeah, well, if you can put that idea in your mind and know that God is in you, everywhere present. All religions say God is everywhere present. There's no place that God is not. Many people think that God is everywhere present except for where they are. We have to embody the idea that God is everywhere present and in us, in every cell in our body. God is in us, operating as us, through us. Today, I'm a vessel for that energy to operate through me, to get a message out, and I know that. So it's what I believe and my perception of who I am that makes me who I am. Change your perception and know that you are a divine being and you're worthy to receive. Be optimistic, and you have to be inspired. And the more gratitude that you have, the higher your frequency. So you raise your everything. Just look around. There's so many things to be grateful for. And if you can be grateful and just put your consciousness on gratitude of every little thing, then all of a sudden your gratitude will just mushroom. And all of a sudden that helps raise your frequency. Now you're thinking about gratitude. You're thinking about love. You're thinking about these higher qualities. Then all of a sudden your life begins to change because you begin to draw what you are, a magnetic being. Your thoughts draw. So we have to do that. Being in love with yourself, utilizing and thinking about joy. These are terms people don't use often. Boy, I am so happy. I am filled with joy. Every organ in my body is filled with joy. Every organ in my body is filled with love. I am filled with light. Oh my God, I'm so happy. And you start to saying this repetitiously, all of a sudden, the subconscious mind, your higher self, your God self will begin to drop more things and more things for you to be happy and joyous about. I started a habit many years ago. People would call me, or I see somebody, they'll always greet me with, "How's it going?" I say, "Honey, I'm blessed and grateful." Blessed and grateful. And I say that when people call me during the day, I'm blessed and grateful. So now I've said it so much it has picked up momentum. And I constantly get things to be grateful for. And I constantly get more blessings. Sometimes the blessings come so fast, I'll be like, what am I doing with all this? So right. Because I am blessed and I am grateful. I'm grateful for my blessings. And when I send it out and I say it to you, Vareen, if I say I'm blessed and grateful, then you're going to have the same thought for me. In your mind, you're going to see me as I respond, blessed and grateful. Now I got you agreeing with me. You see, that's what this is all about. What you speak and what you think, it goes out into the ether. And it brings back what you sent, how you sent it. To elevate your emotions, to heart-centered emotions, we have to raise our feelings. And we have to look within ourselves and see what emotions are covering up our love energy. Sometimes we have so much resentment and we have not let go. And people will tell you quickly, just forgive. It doesn't work like that. Because when you see the person or you think about the situation, you get the same feeling all over again. That feeling has taken a place inside of your body. And every time it could have happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But when you think about that event or that person, that feeling is all over you again because it never left you. Those feelings are attractive, magnetic, and they draw more like themselves. And they become a mass. And they build up in your physical body as a disease. So as we let go of resentments and let go of old feelings, these feelings fertilize disease. We have to change our feeling nature to love and gratitude. And when these feelings come up, we have to deal with them because they're going to come up. Because now the light is being shined on all that old stuff that's in us. And you can be busy interacting with your friends and all of a sudden that thought will come up. You don't have to say a word, but it happens to me. And I say to myself, as I'm still letting people talk to me, I say to myself, I'm going to deal with you later. But I'm going to deal with it. These are aspects of ourselves that in metaphysics we call our shadow self. These are issues that we have swept under the rug, and we have not dealt with because we didn't want to. But we say we a good Christian. We this and we that. But inside of us, it's stuff. It's hurting us and harming us and holding us back. But when we begin to deal with these shadow ideas that we carry, our shadow self, we have to. We must, in order to grow and to move into this fifth dimensional reality and be in alignment with our spirits, with our souls, in alignment with the thoughts that we think. We got to let go of what's in us that has hindered us. So we have to look at ourselves. That's why I say it's so important to be with yourself, by yourself, so that you can get to know yourself. And when you begin to shine the light just by looking at a situation that you know you don't want to carry, because you know in your knower that it's holding you down. You gotta face it. Facing it is the hardest thing. But once you face it, you put the light on it, guess what? Oh, it's coming back. Because now you looked at it. It's going to come back because it wants to be seen because its time is up. But if you don't deal with it, it's going to go right on back down and it's going to attract other stuff like it. If you want to be healthy and whole and have supreme health, you got to get all that out of you. You got to look at it. And if it's hard, you say, I ask God, whoever you call, you say, I ask help right now to get rid of this. I want it uprooted. I want to let it go. You may need help. I've needed help to let go of certain things that were so deeply rooted in me. I've had to ask for help, and that help came, and I cleared myself. But once you clear that place in you, you got to put something else there. Quickly, you got to say, I replace that with love now. I fill that area with love. I fill it with light. I fill it with joy. I fill it with peace. And nothing opposite can ever grow there. You have to say these things to yourself. Because these things are alive in you and they have taken on a life of their own. And they want to stay there often. So you got to work with them. You got to pull that big weed up. And then you got to look at the root, and then you got to look at the filaments. Say, I pull everything up. I let it all go. And I let the light of God shine there brightly. And we can do this with our intention, with our words, with our thoughts. Look like I done talked about everything, but I want to just say this. Our words are so powerful. Now, earlier I did read a statement about how we should utter our words. You all remember that?
Yeah.
As if heaven opened in there. There's a spirit to every word. And I learned, I guess a few years back, about the power of certain words. There's a term that Jewish people have historically used, and it has filtered down into society, but we don't use it. And I met a Jewish man, and he had it on a ring. And I said, why are you wearing that? This was years ago. He said, you know, in Jewish culture, this word means, as I speak, I create. So it reminds me that I'm always speaking and creating what I want only. I said, wow. You know what that word was?
What?
Abracadabra.
That's a spell.
Abracadabra. I speak and I create. That's powerful. And it's a reminder that I'm going to get me one of those rings. It's going to come to me. And it's going to say abracadabra because I want to remind you that every time I speak, I'm creating. And you can just write it on an index card, put it over your dashboard, put it in your car, remind yourself every time I say something, I'm creating. It doesn't matter how small it is, but you are a creator being. And another thing that I thought about is we must always have a purpose in life. Do you all remember in the Bible when it said Jesus, he walked past that fig tree, and that fig tree would not produce, and he cursed the fig tree. That fig tree was a life force created by God. It just was a part of nature. But it had the ability to produce, and it didn't. One must have a purpose in life. One must use the creative nature that God has given you to always be doing and being and having. And when you stop, what do you think happens when you no longer have anything to offer? What do you, does anyone in here have an idea? That's right. You leave here. One thing about people after they retire, you'll find that after they've retired a few years, you hear about their funeral. You hear about their transition. And you're like, wow. So now a lot of people believe that they're just going to leave here because so many do leave here. But that's a different type of people. After retirement, where there's no purpose, there is no life force. So I don't care how old or young you are, you must always have a purpose in life. If you have no purpose, if there's no life force, destruction sets in. There are many people, but people don't like to talk about it. There are people that started a new career when they hit 80 years old. I saw where a woman got married here recently on social media. She was 98 or something. I was shocked. I'm like, what's she doing? To see my program. The program was running. But that was natural for her. Evidently, she thought it was fine for her, and it was. And my opinion does not matter. So we have to have a reason to be here. And the more reason and purpose that you have that is in alignment with divine mind, the longer you will be here. And it'll keep you healthy. It'll keep you healthy to keep doing its divine work. So your goal or your purpose might be just to, every day, you walk through your neighborhood and you give everybody a smile. That's a grand purpose. But you can have higher purposes. Your divine mind might want you to write a book that's going to change the feelings or the ideas of other humans. Maybe you can serve. And if you know that's what you want to do, divine mind will keep you here. It'll keep you here and it'll keep you healthy. Because for me, I always say, I know I have this purpose here. I know you got work for me to do. And I know you got to keep me healthy to do it. And I sure am grateful. I'm grateful. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that you chose me to do this work because I'm going to do it because this work is my rent for being on this planet. Got to have a purpose. And as long as you have one, believe you me, life force will be operating through you and you will have supreme health. Everyone that is up in what they call age or stage of their life, everybody ain't unhealthy. Some of those women can outrun some of these young women. It's their thinking, it's their belief, and it is their perception. So now, we want to talk about the frequencies that we need to put ourselves in. We've already talked about the mind and how we talked about the nutrients for the mind, and we talked about the nutrients for the soul, which was meditation, prayer, and things of that nature. Now we're going to talk about the nutrients for the body. Now most people that, oh, I'm sorry, Rich. Really? Ooh, I'm flying. Okay. Most people, I'm on my last. Okay. Wow. There are nutrients for the body, and there are frequencies. There are scales that have been developed by scientists that tell you the frequency of certain foods that it vibrates off of. Nikola Tesla says if you want to know humans and if you want to understand the universe, study frequencies and vibrations. Thoughts have frequency. Everything has a frequency because we are just bundles of energy. Everything is energy. This is energy. They're just at times just vibrating at a different frequency. So now the foods that we eat, I suggest that we be very cautious and conscientious who we eat around. I am, because you all most of you probably know about water has a consciousness, and you're 80% water. Have anyone read that book, The Power of Water? Well, you already know. I know you have, because you even gave me that other book you recommended. It was powerful. It's powerful. Yes, ma'am. So now we know that we are 80% water. Now the research has proved that if you spoke negative words over water, then the crystals that were in that water, they became murky, ugly, and just ugly. And then those that were spoken love to, that water, love, grateful, gratitude, blessings, that it was like, they were so beautiful. They were symmetrical, they were just beautiful. So now if it's 80% water in your body, who's speaking over you? Who you sitting in the house letting talk over your body? Who's speaking over your water in a restaurant? Who you sitting with that's sitting there cussing and carrying on? Who? You got to think about these things. Now, I feel like this. We must bless every food. We can raise the frequency. We can raise the frequency of our food because we must bless our food. And often, I silently do it because I'm not always with people that just want to say prayers over their food. So I just sit there and I bless my food and raise it to the highest frequency possible. I impregnate my food with an energy field so that when my body receives it, it's on a high frequency. And I extract often sometimes because I try to eat healthy 80%, 20% I might not. So I ask my higher self, I say extract what I don't need. And I learned that when I was in the hospital, and some of you all read my book. When they were giving me 800 milligrams of steroids intravenously. Spirit said, just say, extract the evil and only allow the good. And I said it. And I never had the steroid effect. Nothing. I was blessed. So I used that with my food and my drink. It is said that if you bless your water and you tell your water, water, I bless you. And I ask you to go in this body and heal my kidneys. That water has a consciousness.
That's right.
It'll do it. But you have to do it. You have to say it. But you have to drink high frequency water. You don't want to drink water that has BPA and the plastic been sitting out there in your car and the sun shining on it, and now the BPA is leaking into your water. It's damaging you. We have to eat high frequency foods. We have to get away from all the snacking and the junk. That junk food creates junk cells.
Yes.
And now you end up with a junky body. And you wonder why. Because you did not put the appropriate frequencies in your food and you didn't pay attention. There's a food scale that shows what foods are superfoods and how they affect your body. We must embody foods and water that raise our frequency, that are life-giving. And if by chance you have some food that you know is not life-giving, you ask your higher self, you ask God, bless this food, extract all the evil and allow the good. Don't let people curse around your food or your body, because your blood is nothing but water. It's fluid.
That's right.
And if one set of fluid has a consciousness and that blood is running through your veins, then you have a consciousness and so does your blood. And when people sit and talk about you and put you down, then they're putting your whole body down.
Yeah.
So now when you raise your body up by drinking foods that are filled with nutrients, and we have to have supplements today. And I'm going to say this quickly because the earth itself has lost most of its mineral content because of companies like Monsanto, pesticides. So now the plants that come up out of the ground, they have a deficit in minerals and vitamins. So by the time that food is taken from its root source and is kept on a farm a day or so, and then it's put on a truck, and then it travels and travels and travels till it gets to your store. And then the store, they look at it and they put it out there and they put some water on it to make it look fresh. And by the time you go get it, it has lost all its nutrients. We have to supplement. That's why TLC is so important.
Sure is.
It's very important. And the older we get, our body no longer produces certain chemicals. So if your body's not producing chemicals that are necessary for you to be whole and to have a supreme body, and your food that you're eating doesn't give you what you need, then your body is going to be lacking in health. So to have a supreme body and supreme power over your body, you have to be very conscious of where you allow your body to be, the thoughts that you allow to go into your body, the foods and the drinks that you allow into your body. Now we've talked about how we can have supreme power over love and how we can have supreme power over wealth. I have an affirmation. I am wealthy because wealth for me includes peace, a stress-free life, love, joy, and happiness. Everybody sees wealth as different. I see wealth as abundance. And I see some individuals that retired when I did, and they said, well, you know, girl, you know, we on a fixed income. I said, not me. And they don't like it. They said, that's something wrong with, you know, Miss Wilkes. And they said, yeah, you know, I'm on a fixed income. I say, well, who fixed it? I'll quickly say, my resources. Some people say, well, you know, I get paid on Friday. Well, I get paid every day. You know why? Because I say all of my resources and all of my good comes from all parts of this universe. And I'm grateful. That means I've not put a limitation by saying it's just my check. Pardon? Shut up, Anyway, so it is over. But I just wanted to put that in there because I want people to leave here knowing that you have the innate power in you and God gave it to you and it has been suppressed and futuristically it will be attempted to be more suppressed. So you have to put a guard at the door of your mind and only allow the thoughts that come in that will give you health and joy and love and identify your stressors. If you feel stressed, identify where it comes from and have the will to get rid of it.
Amen.
Have the will to get rid of that stressor. Because stress is the number one killer of cells. So we have to think about that. You want to have supreme health. You know you're a soul. You have to use that bridge from the soul to your cells through your thinking, through your belief that the soul is who you are. Now, if you're really a soul, you're just going to say, I'm getting ready to heal this part of me because you're a soul. That's your true self. Step from that place. You will have supreme health. And I don't care how bad your health is, it can be changed. You can turn it around because you're getting ready to get some new cells anyway. You can turn that around. And if your love life is not where you want it, be 100% sure that you're ready. And stop claiming that, you know, all these men ain't no good. Because that's what you'll get. No good men.
What?
Claim that the perfect partner is there for me in divine order, divine time.
Yeah.
Okay. So are there any questions? Does anyone have a question or a comment? Because, come on, Dara.
I have a question about the I am present. You mentioned that is your higher self, or that is.
Well, that's what the Ascended Masters, their teachings teach. That there's an aspect of you that is called your I am presence. Yes.
And you call that down to protect you or to keep you in when you're in different environments.
Yes, well, I say that so that I can insulate myself.
Okay.
Because now I have called on my higher self, which is actually my God self. You know, these words you hear people talk about, my God self, my higher self, they're talking about it now. People never mentioned that a couple of decades ago. Things are changing, we are evolving, and our consciousness is evolving as we speak right now. The veils are being removed off of the faces of the people on this planet.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's up to us to see, because we have that ability.
Thank you.
So can some, like when somebody says, can we interject also, or should I just say, can I interject? Because when you said, what do you mean? Like the I am, how I use it also, thanks to my mom, is if I'm going in an environment, I just know that I am protected. I am abundance. I am. You can do it simplified too, as you learning to evolve in that. Just know that the secret to having it all is knowing you already do. Having it all. Every desire.
Bless you, sweetie. You're welcome, darling. Yes, are there any more questions before we end this session?
Thank you,
Come
Lily.
I'm about to be silly. When is the next one?
Yeah.
My soul is so filled. Like I'm elated. That's all I can say.
And you know, you
I'm
are
grateful.
so spiritual,
Oh,
and
thank
you
you.
have so many spiritual gifts.
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I thank you.
I have a
Oh,
Okay, Bree.
yes. I
Speak
need
up.
your help.
Okay.
Okay. So I find I don't know if it's as I'm getting older or going through certain things in life. There used to be a time that I can be in environments and I know that people have always, because you're not from here or you talk different or you're dressed different or whatever. And even when I first came to Chicago, I never fit in, you know. And so I've always carried that with me, but I've always been able to just channel it and just keep on, use it as motivation. But I find that I have had weakness in holding on to that strength, and I have started to ask people to stop making me feel that way. And I've gotten in trouble twice with people that I really care about because I brought it to their attention. And when I didn't bring it to their attention, I felt, it was fine, but I felt like maybe I didn't, I just dealt with it. But now I don't seem to be able to have that strength to deal with that. And I get in trouble, meaning that the result is not what I want.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Your solar plexus, your center. This is where your strength for your entire body is. A lot of, this is where your will lies and your power. And you notice that often I'm listening, I do this. Make sure I keep my power right here. So now, you know that this is the area, your solar plexus, where your will, your courage, your strength comes from. When you feel that way, you must get rid of the thought. Because the thought is being generated in you. No one outside of me can influence me to feel nothing. You have to master yourself. And you can start right here. I am the master of myself. No one can affect me unless I give them that power. So now you hold on to your power and you work your will. And you can exercise this at home looking in the mirror. And you can say, my will sustains me. I have courage and no one can make me feel anything that I don't want to feel. I feel from my soul, and that is my power. But you got to say it.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay,
Can I just make a comment? I just want to make one comment.
Okay, Nancy. Okay.
The other Nancy. So this is what I hear a lot, and every time that I hear it in my mind, like you, I rebuke it or say that I'm not concerned about certain things. So I see that a lot of people are limited in their retirement. They're always saying, "Oh, I gotta retire." I'm not, the way you mentioned earlier. I gotta worry about the money that I'm getting. I'm waiting on my retirement. I have to do a certain amount of things. If you're believing for this right now, you can believe for income to come in the way you said earlier, that abundance income will come even in your retirement. So I'm not worried about what I have in my retirement account or my Roth IRA and things of that nature that I hear a lot from people, because I know that abundant flows to me, whether I'm 80, whether I'm 90, whether I'm 100. So I'm not worried about my retirement account, because to me that I feel like that's limiting me
It is.
when I'm concerned about my retirement account, and I hear that a lot from people. So thank you for your clarification when you were mentioning it earlier, that people were talking about their own fixed income and they're worried about, I gotta keep this. When I'm not worried and concerned about it, because I know the abundance belongs to me.
Yeah, and there are affirmations that you can say, and I'm a firm believer in affirmations because I'm always sending them up to my higher self so that they can drop back down to my reality. I am filled with abundance. You know, God is my constant and consistent supply. I am never wanting of any good thing. These are the things that you can say to help reassure yourself and your brain structure that you will always have more than enough. I always have more than enough. I told my daughter, I said, look, you must say that I am a divine distribution center. I am a distribution center for the divine. So now, if you say that I am a distribution center for the divine, you will always have more than enough. Always. So. Okay, any more questions? Okay. Well, it's already in there. Well, Shakara and I have discussed this. We don't have a date or a place. So I'm thinking about doing that.
Okay, before we adjourn, everyone, please listen for 1 minute. So, we all want Linda to come back. We're not sure where she's gonna come back to. But another thing to consider too is that if you've got questions, if you've got ideas, if you've got things that you wanna talk to Linda about, I think most of you have her number. I know that she is a healer. I know that she does this as a business. So you can contact her, you can talk to her. You can figure out what is your next right move, and she'll be able to help you, move in that direction. So,
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm so grateful.
now remember too that, she still has some of her books up here, if anybody